We're here with Jarvis Leatherby of the fucking badass Night Demon. Um, Jarvis, thank you. I greatly appreciate you taking some time out of your super busy schedule because I know you're always moving. You always have
Yeah.
something going on.
You have to stay alive these days, But no, it's good. It's interview day. I've got some back-to-backs, so I'm here and I've got some time for you and I'd love to chat.
Rock and roll. So I'm just gonna start with like the first time I saw you guys was Carcass and Crowbar.
Great tour, great times. I remember that show very well. Yep.
Fucking I was blown away, instant fan. And then I made the family come see you guys, and the whole family, you're like one of the favorites in the house. So
That's so cool. Thank you so much. It's nice to be a somewhat accessible metal band, I mean, Cannibal Corpse is a great legendary band. I've been seeing them since the 90s, but it's kind of hard to play around the family sometimes, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
especially when they're younger, but as they get
Yeah,
older, it's a little
yeah.
different. But you know,
Yeah.
your sound is obviously it's something that I grew up with, in the 80s, a lot of, a lot of the new wave, right,
Yeah.
was really coming. And it's nice to transition that to the kids, let them let them enjoy something that's fresh to them that was fresh to, us when we were kids.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point because you wonder sometimes, like I don't have kids, so I don't know, but it's like what do is there like a universal kind of sound or melody or formula that that kids would gravitate towards more than something else? Or I don't know if it depends on the different personality traits that different kids have, or if there's some kind of universal, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
if I'm just curious about that because when you get older, you kind of know, okay, this sounds like this era, this sounds like this era, this sounds like it was recorded this decade, right?
yeah, yeah,
But when everything's new to you, it's like, it's not old, right? Like you can't differentiate, so it's like,
right.
what do I like more, or an analog sound versus a digital sound with a kid that's grown up in the digital age? I don't know if they adapted to this new sonic, you know what I mean?
Well,
it's
yeah,
it's
but it's
yeah.
it's funny, right? Because like in our house, we're big vinyl people, so
Right.
we have records play every single fucking
That's
day.
awesome.
And so the kids are getting that. Like the kids, there's four record players in the house, and
Wow, that's amazing, man.
everyone's got their own set of records. So it's really neat to see that, right? Especially in the digital age where everything is
Yeah,
so accessible on the phone that
that is so cool.
so
Yeah, it really teaches kids patience and, like, getting into the music. It's a vinyl record. It's a physical thing that sounds different than every other vinyl record of even of the same album. It skips or scratches or bumps in different areas, and it's like it's moving around. Its sound is traveling through it physically, from the grooves to the needle to the stylus to the wires to the speakers that's pushing air to your ears. It's like it's a total human experience, and that's cool that your kids they're getting that. So good on you, man.
well,
Raising them right.
I appreciate that. It's just, it's fun. It's fun for me because it's how I fucking grew up, listening to records. I mean, shit, the first record that I remember buying was with my own money was Motley Crue Girls, Girls, Girls,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and then it's what White Snake, it was right in that era.
Right, right.
So to be able to form those memories with the kids, like Bailey, I think the first vinyl record she bought was a Green Day album.
There you go.
I'm like, cool. She's like, really? I can buy this? Like, yeah, I don't care if you want to listen to Deicide. I'm not going to tell you no. Like
Right.
let's just
That's great.
enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
So you Night Demon is like just always working, right? You guys are
Yeah, pretty much.
literally nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah, we're burnt out. No,
No.
no. We're okay. We're okay.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, how long has the band been together at this point?
Well, 2011 is when we started, and we weren't really active until like later in 2012. So we started touring 2014. So I'd say we're kind of at the 10-year mark of being a full-time band.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that's good. And you guys have played, I mean, you guys have played some awesome shows. Been on countless tours with fantastic bands. You getting ready to go on the road out with Blind Guardian,
Yes.
and you're playing with Bruce right before the Blind Guardian tour.
Yeah, yeah, in a couple days.
Yeah,
So that should be cool, man. Yeah,
yeah,
really looking forward to that.
I bet. Did you grow up as a Iron Maiden guy?
100%. I mean, they're like my favorite band of all time. So yeah, yeah, most definitely grew up as a Maiden guy, and was kind of when I was like coming of age, able to go to concerts for the first time by myself or with friends. When I got my driver's license and stuff. Um, Bruce wasn't in Iron Maiden anymore. Rob Halford wasn't in Judas Priest anymore. But I would still go see each of those guys solo. I would still go see Maiden and Priest with their new singers. And I was seeing all these bands in like really small venues, and I was all over it. But now they're both the juggernauts that they should be again. And so it's cool that Bruce is coming to play in California, and I'm glad we got asked to do it. It's going to be tight. We've got to fly out a couple hours after the show to start the Blind Guardian tour on the East Coast. So um, I'm glad the timing worked out and we were able to accept that gig because it almost looked like it wasn't going to happen. So it worked out all for the right reasons.
Right on. Well, I'm excited. Obviously I think his crowd will really
I hope so. Yeah, if
will
they're Maiden fans, they'll like what we do. Yeah.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so the last album, Outsider, came out just last year.
Yeah, March 17th of 23. So our album cycles are and touring cycles are usually pretty long. And we're not the kind of band that puts out an album every year, and we like to travel the world two or three times on an album and really just drill it in and give people a chance to see it over and over again before we come out with something new and change the stage setup and the vibe of the set. So yeah, so we did a lot of touring last year, and we're getting ready to start a whole another cycle again now. We've done some festivals to kick off the year, and we've been working on some other various studio projects and stuff in the meantime. So, but yeah, it's time to hit that road again.
Right on. So how long are you guys going to be on the road? How many
So
months out of this year, I should say?
we're starting this tour, so it's like mid-April. We'll be out for a month with Blind Guardian in the US, then we do Milwaukee Metal Fest. Then we have about a week off, or about 5 days actually. Then we're going to be going to Japan, Australia, China, and then over to Europe for like a 2 week run there that ends at a festival in Spain. And then we're going to take about 6.5 weeks off in the summer, midsummer. We've got something else pretty big that we're working on that I can't really talk about yet, but it's going to be cool. And then we're back doing a bunch of festivals and going doing um, some more Europe stuff, and then going to Mexico, South America, and yeah, it's gonna be a busy year. It
China.
has been. Yeah. Yeah,
Have you guys been to China before?
we haven't, but a couple of the bands I managed have in recent times, and it's pretty happening place, man. People really, really love the metal there, and a lot of people show up for it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure with a little bit of freedom, because I feel like I don't know a lot about China, but I feel like they've been they're pretty
I mean,
tight on their
it's
people.
hard to it's hard to gauge stuff like this when all we hear, like, you never hear anything good about China. But I mean, come on, think about it. Like, how many millions of people live there? Like, it can't be all bad. You know what I mean? And
Right.
also the stuff that we hear is just bad because it's slanted in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we're on the verge of a war with that country almost. I mean, they're kind of seen as allies to our enemies currently, and I say our as the United States. But as everybody knows, I mean, here's the way I look at it, right? Because I've traveled so much. It's like somebody in China looking at the USA and going, "All right, here's that fucking place, right?" And it's like, how big this country is and how many people are here, right? And how so many of us are just individuals. We have nothing to do with the politics here
Right.
or anything that's happening with foreign interests or foreign policy. Like, we have no voice in that. Our voice is to vote for the people that decide these things, but even that is a scam. That
Yeah.
system is flawed. So
Yeah.
it's like, or it's like this, this current situation we have now, where it's like it's the same old people. We have two choices, and like neither of them are good. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
what, and then so what do we do? We get into music, right? And we're like, fuck, I don't want anything to do with that shit. Like, I just want to enjoy my fucking life. You know what I mean? I don't want to live in this perpetual cycle of doom and gloom. If I'm gonna do that, at least let me fucking rock out, Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, so that's the way I see it. Like, Chinese, there's millions and millions and millions of people in China.
There's
They're
billions.
yeah, yeah, right. It's like they have nothing to do with any kind of communist regime, or I mean, and whatever. Look, like, again, it's like I'm the last person to step into somebody else's world and tell them. That's such an American thing to do, like, tell people that they need to be more democratic or like how to live their lives. It's like they're an ancient freaking society. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, I don't think it's my place, man. Like, the fact that they want us to come over there and entertain them is great, Like, let's do that. Let's
Hell
do
yeah.
that.
Well, and you're absolutely right. It's just like when we're going through our day and someone reprimands their kid a certain way and we're like, no, you should do this way. Like, hold on, that's their life,
Right.
right? Like
Exactly.
live and let live,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly, So yeah, and that's the way it's just I think it should be. It's so interesting, man, when you go places and you realize how similar everybody is. Like, our differences are not that big at all, and like it's usually just a cultural thing, and it's usually the differences are so interesting, and you see, wow, like, the way that some people live is so interesting. Like, there are things that other cultures do way better than us. Like, obviously there's some things we do better than them too, but like there's not one just dominant thing where it's just like, oh my god, like, this is
Right.
a fucking nightmare. Like, I just
Well,
I don't see it that way.
pros and
So,
no, it's pros and cons with everything.
hmm
You're gonna have like you pointed out, some places do things better, some things we do better, whatever.
yeah, and it's like we can't help who we are or where we're from or what we were born into, but we can control who we become based on our knowledge and experience in life, and what education we have about things.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get a real education firsthand about what the world really is. I don't need to hear it from a paid news source that has their own agenda. I just don't, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and
Yeah.
that's exactly it, right? They all have their own agenda.
Of
It's
course.
Who is it owned by? What do they want? What story do they want to sell you?
Of
Whatever.
course. Yeah.
All right, back onto the good shit. Um, when you guys start writing an album, when does the process begin, and how long does it typically take you?
It takes us quite a while. A lot of times we're not just, okay, it's album time, like let's go. There, I mean, well, okay, I'll say this. Since the pandemic, we've all been split up. Like we all kind of live in different parts of the world. So our guitar players in California. I'm currently here right now. I still have my place here, but I spend most of my time when I'm not on the road in Northern Ireland, and our drummer's in Florida. So when we do get together, we'll schedule a few weeks or a month or something and then focus on doing some serious writing sessions. But you just have to be patient with that stuff, You have to write and record and release music when it feels right to you, and sometimes it takes some stuff takes longer. There's been songs that have taken me like a year to write lyrics, and that's not me working on that 8 hours a day 365 days a year either,
Right.
it's just gotta the timing's got to be right. I don't think anybody should ever be in a rush to release anything artistic. You have to just let it sometimes it's also good to just take a step away from it and just don't listen to it or think about it for a few weeks and then come back to it and see how you feel about it then. Because and then the more and more you listen to things and the more you drill things in your head, the more it becomes acceptable when it might not have had that initial feeling to you, and that's never a good thing. But with me writing all the vocal lines and stuff, it's like I have to listen to our songs 1,000 times before they're done because it's like I have to figure it out, right? It's like
Yeah.
a puzzle. So um, there's no set way of doing it. A lot of times somebody will just come in with an idea and then we all kind of expand on it, and it usually comes together that way.
It's a good way. It's a very
Yeah.
democratic way to do it. Uh, so what what song do you enjoy playing live like the most?
Yeah, it's a good question. Um, there's a song on our last album, Outsider, the last track on it called "The Wrath." I really like that song because it's like a longer song. We generally have short songs, which is a good thing, but it's a longer song, but it goes to a lot of different places. There's a lot of peaks and valleys in the song, and we do this cool thing in the middle of the song where we tune down the top string a whole step, and then it ramps up again, and we tune it back up like in real time, and if you don't get it right, you're screwed because you're gonna miss the next part, and it's gonna be a train wreck. It has happened, not many times, but it has happened. So I like that stuff. I like stuff where we um, expand the boundaries of what we're expected to be doing.
Mm. And that raises the question, what are you expected to be doing? Like,
Well, it's traditional heavy metal, right? So it's like the book's been written. But I mean, we got to a point with Outsider where it's like we've hit all the cliches already. It's like what there's not another drum beat or type of riff that we haven't really explored within that style. So we've always evolved a little bit on our records, but this one was more of an evolution, I think. And the fact of it being a concept record is something completely on its own. But yeah, we're all about that. We'd rather just if like we're writing and recording for the next album now, and like I said, it'll come out when we know that it feels good. It feels better than the last. I mean, and look, like I don't know if any album is better than another, but it has to just feel new enough to us and be some kind of an evolution and a growth, or else we won't do it. I mean, we'd rather just not make records. We
yeah.
like what we have. We're proud of what we've done. So if we can't expand on that, then we won't do anything.
Sure. Well, that's one thing I can say about your discography, at least in my opinion, is there's not a bad album, and I could pick any of the albums and listen to it from front to back and not want to skip anything on it. Just tremendous, tremendous music.
Oh, thanks so much. And yeah, we try and not make them like 8 hours long either, so you can get through it. And if you want to listen again, you can with no problem.
Yeah, yeah, I don't have to take a
So
day off work to make it happen.
no, I yeah, exactly.
And the live show, right? The live show that you guys put on is always super energetic, and it always grabs a crowd. Like, hey, let's go. Let's do it. What when when you started to play live, like you personally, was there an artist or someone that you were like, man, this show is really good. I want to be more like that.
Yeah, well, so going back to Iron Maiden, I the first album I had from them was Live After Death. So it immediately made me like a live album guy. And every song I ever wrote was in my head, I was playing it live when I wrote the song. And it was always the intention of playing the song live. There's not a single Night Demon song that has not been played live. Um, so that's always the intention. So they were a big influence. Um, Early Metallica was a big influence. And Van Halen, just the great live bands, I mean, and the energy thing for us is just, I think it's more of just a hunger of like, it's like we're going to work, or we're playing on a sports team. It's like we're here to win the championship. You know what I mean? Like, and what do you need with that? You need like hunger, desire, and effort. And that's kind of what it is. It's also more of like an appreciation for the audience, where
Okay.
it's like you came to be entertained. So even I've rocked out so hard before that I've fallen on my ass, many times. And it's like I'm not embarrassed by it. It's just like that's what happens, Like so like if Dennis Rodman is chasing a rebound, like he might end up in the fucking stands, but like
He has,
the
yeah,
fans appreciate the effort. Do you know what I'm saying?
for
And
sure.
if people want to make fun of me, that's fine. But like I have it's a byproduct of the output. You know what I mean? So it's like that's just how it goes. So we try and get on stage with this feeling of desperation. Like people say always like, play it like it's your last. It's like if you really try and do that, like how would that feel? So we try and get to that mindset and just give it everything we have. So I think that's how that comes out. It was never an intention of like, okay, here are the moves. We choreographed this part. There are some parts of the show or certain songs that, like, we played a song last weekend at a festival that we hadn't played live in years. And there was like me and Armand, our guitar player, we were doing some kind of like synchronized things together that, like, it just from the old days, it just comes natural. It's not like you just play a song so many times. You might see somebody do something on a part, and you're like, I'm going to do that. Well, let's do that together. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Nothing too silly, but yeah, it's just the hunger for the music, for the performance, and just the desire to just go out and earn the respect. It's not given to you just because people showed up. You have to live up to that hype.
Well, I
So
feel
if you
like
go
you
out
guys
the
you guys earn every bit of it, right?
Thank you. Well, and look, if you saw us on that Carcass tour, I mean, we were the first of four bands, and we were playing for like 25 minutes. So shit, and all the other bands on the tour were much more, I guess, of an extreme nature than us. So I
Yeah.
felt like, and again, it wasn't a competitive thing. I mean, we all the guys in all those bands. I mean, we just were such good friends with them. We love those guys. But to the audience, I feel like, hey, we're here to represent what we do, and let's go out there and at least give it our best shot. And so if somebody is maybe on the fence about liking what we do, like let's not give them any doubts about that, you know.
Well, I think that's, what one of the cool things about I think the heavy metal crowd at large, can't not everyone, but at large, right? Like when a band comes out and they have a good show or and can put on a good performance, they're going to be embraced, even if it's completely different from what some of the other bands are doing. At least in
Yeah,
my
again, I think it comes down to earning the respect of the audience, you
yeah,
know. Just go. I mean, anybody, you can listen to music now anywhere you go on your phone, you know. So it's like if somebody's actually going to take the time to go to a concert, you know, like give them a entertain them, you know, and any way you can.
yeah, yeah, kick them in the balls. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So is there a live show that you guys have played that sticks out to you as like this was a really memorable experience for whatever reason?
God, there's so many, you know, and for a band that hasn't been around for too long, I mean, I think I mean, we're coming up on almost 1,000 shows. So, yeah, it's hard to say.
That's a lot of shows.
Yeah, I know. I know, man. There's been a couple of festival performances in Europe, like the Rock Hard Festival we did in the 2022 edition. That was like pretty wild. Um, it's just like kind of starting out as a band there that couldn't really get a show to playing a 10,000 person festival and having the majority of the crowd there to see you. Like, and it was obvious, you know, and it was just it was a good moment. You really don't know until you're there, you know, and you're like, "Holy shit, okay, this is good, this is good," because you never really, like, made it, you know? You're just kinda
Yeah.
like you're going through the motions every day, and things are a natural progression throughout your career, and when you get opportunities, you're like, "Yeah, like, it's, we've earned that," you know? Like, it's there's no real I mean, maybe there's some luck involved, but you have to put yourself on the side of luck, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like, you like
what do they say luck is? Luck is preparation and opportunity.
That's right. Absolutely. I think John Wooden said that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, you know? And, like, when the opportunities come, you have to be ready because if you're not, it'll show, you know? And we
Yeah.
try our best to be. We try our best to be, you know?
Well, it
We have
should.
shit the bed sometimes, trust me.
Eh,
Like, you know, but there were good learning experiences, that's for sure.
I think you've got to have that though, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've got to have the good with the bad. If
Yeah.
you don't have the bad, how do you know if the good is good?
There's no way to measure that, right? You know,
Right.
if everything, you know, and you gotta fail forward though, you know, you can't like you can't quit. So,
Yeah. No, it's
yeah,
again, it's a constant progression. Just keep going.
right.
Sometimes you're the bug. Sometimes you're the windshield.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what bands, have you guys played with that really stuck out to you as like, man, this is someone I really wanted to play with.
Yeah, I mean, like we've played with a lot of really cool bands, just I mean, mainly on festivals. We've toured, you know, our first major tour was with Raven, and that was great. It was like 60 days. And it really got our feet wet. And it was just great seeing them every night. Touring with Accept in Europe was really cool. I mean, uh playing in front of some of those really big audiences was really cool night after night. Um, the Carcass tour, of course, was great with Crowbar and Ghoul. You know, I would do that tour again in a heartbeat. Um,
I'd go see it again in a heartbeat.
yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of really cool, like younger or not younger, but like newer bands on the scene, I would say, that are doing really well, and I think there's a good future here. And it's funny because I say that, and I just did an interview an hour ago where I just told some, but we were just kind of talking about the same thing. Like, you've got bands now doing this in their 70s and 80s, so it's like, eh, I mean, I guess it gives us all hope that we can keep doing it if we wanted to. If people want it, you can keep going. But like, there's no, like, the changing of the guard thing, it's like it's not really happening these days like how you would think it would,
Right.
where bands go away and then somebody comes in to replace them for the fans, and it's just everybody just sticks around. And like, if they don't, there's a tribute band version of it, or a no original member version of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't know, I feel like you got to at least have one guy, you know, but
Well, I think it
you know what
depends
I,
on the band, right? Like
yeah,
if
of course,
if
of
we take a
course.
band like Guar, like obviously they've changed out so many members. I don't know that there's an original member in that band anymore.
The one thing is they never stopped.
Right.
So, well, the singer now is the old bass player. I wonder if he was the original bass player. I think he might be,
Might be.
but they've never stopped, So it's like you have guys that have come in that have been part of like this evolution of the band in certain phases. So I think that that's kind of like a legitimate reason, like, or a legitimate version of the band, And they are out there honoring the foundation that was laid with that band. They do it well. It's not, there's still a high production value. It's not like ever a bastardized version of a Guar show.
Right.
And those guys
That's not,
put a
they're
lot
all
into
bastardized versions.
it. What's that?
I said they're all bastardized versions. You know,
Right.
but you're right. They put a lot into their production, and I mean, I feel like that's where most everything goes for them.
Yeah, and
Uh,
they have a big team of people that work really hard on all that stuff, and they're evolving the costumes and the themes and stuff and keeping up with current events. They're like the South Park of metal, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, it's great. It's great. I mean, so they're able to connect with new audiences all the time because they're covering current events and putting them through the blender literally. So
yeah,
uh yeah, it's super cool. But when you have, and that band is based on characters, and it's like, comic books and cartoons can evolve all the time with new characters, and that's good. You need some fresh blood in there, actually, um, with bands where like you're identifying with an actual human being and their face and their mannerisms, that may be a little tougher to say. I mean, like, if Kiss never wore makeup,
mm.
right? And then Gene and Paul were replaced. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you could put the makeup on and be like, okay, like, you can, you see it as a lot similar of a thing.
Well, you see it more as
Um,
a, like you were saying, more as a cartoon character or just a
right,
character instead of a
right.
that human connection.
But that's like kind of what's popular right now in metal, especially like any gimmicky kind of stuff. Costumes, makeup, masks. Um, People identify a lot more with that than
Mm.
real humans. Not that they're not real humans doing it,
Right.
but and I'm not sure why that is. Well, I mean, I may have a theory. I think because of social media, everybody's attention is focused on themselves, and it's people don't want to admire or idolize another human being that's just like a human being like them. Why not just it be about them? But if it's a character, that's not,
Yeah.
it's like an, not, I don't want to say an egoless character, but a faceless, a non-human face character, or a human acting as a character. normal human beings, I feel these days gravitate way more towards the fandom of that because they can get lost in that and be part of that cult versus celebrating a celebrity. And a lot of that is too like the reality TV shit or like the Kardashian thing. I think people in underground subcultures that like cool stuff, they don't want to be like that, you know?
Right.
And so people like that, celebrities that don't really do anything or add any artistic value to the world have kind of ruined that for artists that are themselves, you know?
Yeah, I could see that. I could also
Yeah,
see, right, a little bit of people. Well, no, exactly what you're saying. People want to be disconnected from the reality. They want to be more in a fantasy world. So, you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
the cosplay, the characters, it
Right.
definitely helps them, get out of there, which is live music for a lot of us, just being at a concert. There's no outside world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What over the next like 12 months, what's the goal with the band?
Well, I mean, just really just all this touring and on this album cycle and playing the album in its entirety. Mainly is what we're doing on the headlining shows. It being a concept album, and under 35 minutes, we're able to do that. Um, and we've got so many gigs on the books, so it's really just about that focus right now. And then next year, we're going to take some time off and work on the new album and this other project that I loosely talked about, which we'll have some info about soon, which is going to be fucking super awesome. It's not an album, I'll just say that. Um, and yeah, just keep going as long as we can keep going.
How soon is that information going to be out?
Not soon.
Ah,
Early next year.
okay.
Yeah,
All right. Shit.
yeah.
All right. Well, now I'm just gonna have to wait.
Well, let me say, I don't like to talk about things until they're actually completed because
Right.
anything can happen, and I just want to be fair. So,
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. And
yeah,
I'm a little superstitious in that. All right. If I'm working on something, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to jinx it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. Uh, so I was gonna ask you a question. It just went
uh,
my damn brain.
no worries.
The the 2017 when you guys recorded the live album, um, what was that, an hour and a half? That set was long as shit.
Yeah, that was the entire set. We recorded it. It was one show, one night, and
Yeah.
the entire that was it, man. Like we didn't leave any songs out. Well, we did actually end the show with a cover of Wasted Years that came out as a B-side on a single in 2020. But other than that, all the original songs are on there. There's only two songs out of our original catalog at that time that are not on that live album. So it's pretty interesting. We
Yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of people were, I don't know, critical, maybe just questioning, uh, why put out a live album so early in your career? And for us, the answer was simple. It was like all of our favorite bands, they didn't put out a real live album until way later. And at that point, they had 4 or 5 albums. They had evolved their sound and a little bit of there was no time capsule for the early days besides the studio album and a shitload of really, really bad quality bootlegs.
Yeah.
So if I had a very high quality live after death type album from the Killers tour, or if Metallica had a professionally produced live album from like Ride the Lightning, like it would be amazing, you know? And I never had that from my favorite bands, so I wanted to make sure that our fans had that from us.
What a great show that was too.
Yeah, thanks.
That was killer. Uh, for me, it was a great memory with my family. You know, driving up to Cleveland for it, and
That is so cool, man. And see, that's why I'm so stoked that like now you can listen to that album and know that, right? So
yeah,
it I'm glad that we announced that we had planned the plan to do it because a lot of people came in to be a part of that. And it wasn't a thing where it's just like, hey everybody, if you were at this show, it's now a live album,
right,
I think it got people pumped up. A lot of people were pissed because we wouldn't let any phones or photography or anything like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, hey, look, we're here recording a live album, so it's like, let's like just come on. Like you could film any show you want, like or record any show you want. Just give us this one. We promise. In
right.
6 or 8 months, you'll be able to have a vinyl or a CD of it, and like you can relive the memory like in the proper way, not on your shitty audio.
Right. Yeah, and it was such a cool show. I met some people who are still friends today at that show,
That's
you know.
awesome.
And then one I just did this the other day. I pulled up, you guys released a video for one of the songs, and you can see my bald head in one, and
That's so cool.
Bailey's like, "Can you see me?" And then you see her hand reach up, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's you
Nice.
right there." And
That is so
she like tells her boyfriend, "Look, that's me." I'm like, "Yeah."
That's so cool, man. Like I love that about the Night Demon community too. It's like there's so many people that have met at Night Demon shows and like that have all traveled somewhere and have remained friends, and like that's super cool. We're really proud of that.
Well, I think that that's a testament to the band, because I feel like any show that I've seen you guys at, you guys are always super accessible, super friendly, and the fans just help embody that, right? Because they're happy to be there. They're happy more people are checking the band out, and that it's something that we as beyond being human, it's another way for us to connect.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. And being accessible for the fans is something that's important to us because we that's what we wanted from our bands. And it's not easy. You can't always be that way. There's a lot going on, but just try and be that way as much as you can and understand that like it's so easy to be nice to somebody, like
Yeah.
and like they're there for what you're doing. So why not? And you get to meet a lot of interesting people doing that. And if you're a shut-in, you can't really do that.
No, not at all.
But yeah, but another thing we've come to realize, especially because we do so many interviews and we have a podcast that's run 193 weeks in a row. It's
194.
kind of no 194. Sorry, thanks. It's like people like somebody that you may have never met or don't know, like they know you, like that's what we have to accept, like people know they know me, they know who I am, but they actually probably feel like they know me and they rightfully do, because there's enough of myself out there and information and just thoughts and philosophies and the way that we think and the things that we do that if somebody's interested in that, then we do respect that. But it's really a crazy thing when somebody at first when somebody acts like they know you and you're like you don't know why, and then you realize, oh wait, they do, like
Yeah.
they do know you. That's it, you know what I mean? So or even you doing a podcast or like whatever, it's like if you listen to enough episodes, people they will it's like I was a big Howard Stern fan for years. It's like I feel like I know him. I've never
Yeah.
met him, but I've heard enough meditations he's done on a numerous amount of subjects or things he's repeated or talked about a lot, and that's how it is,
That's a I, that's the beauty of the things that we do, right? It helps us connect with other people. You know,
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing that we need as humans is that connection, and we're going to get it from all different areas and aspects. Music for me from early on, from early on was that, that thing that connected me with someone, anyone, because life is life is life.
Yeah, it's so true, man. I mean, I have that pretty much that same experience, so, and I still do. It still
Yeah,
connects me to everybody.
yeah. That's the truth.
Yeah.
s- so are there some bands right now, some newer bands that you're really enjoying listening to that you think other people should check out?
Yeah, I mean, there there's a couple bands that we're taking out on tour, Riot City from Canada and Traveler also from Canada. They're really awesome heavy metal bands. So if you like traditional heavy metal, done right, I would check both of those bands out. Um, and I don't know, I would just like I know there's always somebody I'm gonna forget, so I will just say everybody should just do their own research, do their own digging. There's so much information there. You go on YouTube and just like type in a type of style of music you like or type of metal you like, and you're gonna just go down the rabbit hole, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, we just went and saw Savage Master. They were the last night of their tour with Screamer and
Bloodstar.
Bloodstar. That's it. I was like, it's Blood something.
I would
Uh,
recommend all those bands,
they were all
you
they were
know?
all really good. I'd seen Savage Master a number of times, but I'd never seen Screamer, and Bloodstar is pretty new. I think their debut album came out like a year ago or something.
Yeah, but we took them on their first tour, and that was in 2018,
Okay.
actually. So, yeah. We've taken Screamer out on tour in Europe too. So we played with Savage Master many times. Yeah, we're all friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the good thing about the heavy metal community, right? Is the
Absolutely.
friendships. R-
Absolutely. It's the best part about it.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. Um, what what memorable tour experience have you had that you want to share? Like funny.
Man, there's so many. I don't even know. There's a lot of them I don't want to share, I'll tell you that. Funny.
Let's dig into the ones you don't want to share.
Uh, a funny one. There actually, I just did an interview for our podcast. So this story will probably come out in the next 2 weeks, but um, I'll just tell it here because it's fresh on my mind. So on our 2014 tour, so 10 years ago, we played in Vancouver, BC, and there was a guy yelling in out of the audience, like just talking shit the whole show. And he kept saying this other band's name. Basically, like our backdrop kind of looked like the album cover of this classic New Wabban band called Desolation Angels. There's a whole story behind that too. But anyway, he ended up just I said something about him in the audience, and then I said like, you want to like come up on stage and just tell everybody what the fuck you're talking about so you could be done with it and we can get on with our show. And he basically came up to the stage and he came up to me. I thought he was going to get on the mic and say something, and he fucking took a swing at me. And I dodged the punch, and then our drummer came out and tackled him off the stage. He got kicked out of the show, and then the crowd started chanting "Fight Demon" instead of "Night Demon." We finished the show. After the show, I went outside because I felt bad, and I was like, we were on tour with Raven, and Raven was going on after us, and I was like, I found the guy, and I was like, look, man, like, I don't know what the fuck that was all about, but like, look, I'll convince them to let you back in the show if you fucking behave. You should be in the show to see Raven. I was being overly cool about it, basically.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, fuck you." Like he wasn't having it. And then a lot of the audience was outside at when the and saw that happen. And as I walked back through the doors of the venue, they started chanting, "Nice demon." Nice demon, nice demon. But
So
yeah,
that's the next two live album titles, Fight Demon and Nice Demon.
there you go. Yeah, double vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, oh shit. All right, Jarvis, I know you're a busy man, so I'm not going
All
to
good,
keep
man.
you. I greatly
That's cool.
appreciate you like coming and hanging out tonight and chatting and talking shit.
Thank you, Tom. And we will do it again. I hope to see you at a gig. Please stay in touch
Absolutely.
and we'll talk again.
Yep, for sure. Have a great night.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.